So a lot of women that I run into and interact with find that it's hard to get support as a woman chasing a dream. Now, I am a man who is married to a very go-getter woman who is driven in terms of what she creates and what she does. And I'm always looking at how can I support her more. The crazy thing is, I'm the minority. I find that not a lot of guys are heavily supporting their women, and women come to me in inboxes and ask questions of, "Man, how do I get support for me chasing this big, crazy dream?" Because in this world that we live in, it's kind of interesting you find that men, when they're driven and they go after something, they're go-getters, they're hard fought, like that's accepted, like it's expected for those who are successful. However, when you see women doing it, it's almost deemed as like, brash and just, abrasive, and they're rough and they're rugged women, when the reality is they're just a woman with the same internal compassion and passion to chase a dream and create this new world. In the world we live in now, there's nothing that you can't do. Like, my ladies, you could do anything. Like, sheer technology and the access we have to human beings, like, there's so much going on. And I believe there's a nuance that you have in terms of how you see the world that can make things so much bigger, so much better than a man can. I tell my wife, like, all the time, there's a way she sees the world that I can't see it. In fact, I enroll her a lot into my conversations. She doesn't always love them, but I'm always like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And sure enough, she'll be the one that creates this crazy idea or sparks a thought in a direction I never would have thought. And so I want to talk to you today. How do you get some people to give you support? Maybe more specifically, how do you get a male perspective? Maybe it's a husband or a dad or a brother to really buy into what it is you're doing. And one of the biggest things that I see women who have a big passion, a big dream not doing early on is they're not believing themselves, so much so that it actually just oozes on everybody else. Think about when you start something new. You create this idea, you want to do something new, you talk about this new thing. What happens, you kind of talk about it, and at first people say, "Yeah, sounds good. That's not you." Or they may, kind of give you some like laughable, little like statements or quips, and they just make jokes about it. What happens is in that moment, there's this kind of a chance for you to determine where you want to be. You can laugh with them and say, "Oh yeah, it's kind of crazy," and you can let it go to the side, or you set up for that dream. And standing up for the dream isn't always arguing in that moment. It's simply showing up outside of that moment. And what I mean by that is you go back to the drawing board and you go to work. Because what happens in the beginning is at first people hear you talk about this thing and they think like, "Oh, actually, this person's crazy." And then you do a little more and like, "Oh, they're still doing that? They're still in that same, it's nuts." And after a while they say, "Wow, they're still doing that." And then they keep seeing you do it. They see you create something. And when you stay that course a little bit over time, eventually you have some success. It's inevitable. You'll have some success doing this thing. And then all of a sudden you do it and they say, "Oh, that's really who she is now. That's who she's turned herself. That's what she does. She's created this cool thing. She sees the world differently. She shows up. Like, have you seen what she's doing?" But it all starts in that moment when there was laughing. And this is the same for men as well, but it's just a little bit different in terms of how we do things. In the world of what I see the women that I interact with in my coaching clients, it starts with this kind of internal voice of questioning, am I good enough? The imposter syndrome. Can I charge this for this? Will anybody buy this? I can't just walk out and say this, but what if this happens? What if they say this? What if I get judged? Because ladies, I've seen some catty stuff go back and forth, a lot of weird judgments. I get that the world you live in is not crystal clear, easy to walk through. But at the end of the day, that's something that you have to know going into the next journey you have for your life. To create what you want, you're going to have to walk through some mud. And so what you got to realize is the belief part, when you get down to really anchoring and believing in the thing you do, it's going to come through your actions past the pain. The actions past the point where everybody else in the past stopped, where everybody else feels contention. They just don't keep pushing forward, or they secede to the people judging and talking and being catty. Do you continue down that path? Because when you continue down that path, the reason people later on will go in and say, "Wow, that's who she is now," is because you believe so much in you that there's no way I couldn't believe. You made it so transparently clear that I couldn't, not believe in this, that it's like, it's got to be her. So the big thing is just lead in and be the person who at the end of the day, like, you believe in yourself more than anybody else. When you do that, everybody else gets on the board, like on board the ship with you, because you're showing you're doing it. And the next thing I see when people come to getting people to believe in them and be very clear and on board is that when you get to the point of putting yourself out there, like, there's a level of us having success or getting people to enroll. And what happens is we don't enroll other people into our dream the right way. We can then live ourselves solo and silo it up and get success. But then, let's be honest, nobody likes to celebrate alone. And so for me, with my wife, what I watch her do, like, she has amazing beliefs of what she creates, and she's enrolled me into a lot of those. That's why I go and support her, and I'm doing all these things that most people have no idea I'm doing. I'm laying floors and running wires and installing systems and all this craziness when it's not like my career, but I've been doing it for so long. But she enrolls me in her dream. And what ends up happening is she can then do more with this. Because let's be honest, you can be in your own silo, do your own stuff, but it's not fulfilling the same way it is when you have support. So the next stage is like, how do I get other people enrolled in this? How do I get my husband on board and enrolled in this concept? When I say enrolled, like, to where they're in it with you, like they can't wait to see it all transpire the way you see it transpire. And a lot of that comes from you speaking and talking about what this thing is, and then getting them to just support you. And the way you get them to support you is you make it clear of how to support. See, a lot of people and women, they say, I want support. But I'm telling you, as a man, I don't know what that is sometimes, unless you tell me. In our conversation with other men, we're very transparent. That's why most men don't get the innuendos and the statements that most women say, because we don't think that way, unfortunately. You tell me what you need and I'll do it. And so if you want my support, ask for it in a specific lane. Don't just say, I want to feel supported, because unfortunately, we don't know what that is a lot of the time. So if you just tell a man, I want to feel supported, and the way that you can support me in this, it could be a brother, sister, cousin, it could be a girlfriend as well. The way that you can support me is that when I talk about this, tell me the positives, not all the negatives. Right? Think about it. That could be something as simple as that. I want to know, I get negatives exist. What positives do you see in this? Tell me to tell you that, because then I will tell you that. Maybe it's, I need you to, when I come home from doing a long day's work, I need you to take care of dinner on the table, so that whenever I come home and I get done with work, I can work on this next project without having to think about preparing dinner, washing dishes, put everything away. Tell me that. Like, make it clear. Then what happens is, now that you've gotten me doing this thing and I'm enrolled, you also have to go do the thing that you told us you had to do that made us do this first thing. So if you said you had to get home and make some videos, that's why you needed me to do dishes, get home and make the videos. Do that. Now what's great is you get to see that as you're creating and you're doing something, I feel like I'm supporting the thing you're doing because I can see you doing it now. So it ties into the same aspect of the belief. I can now believe in what you're doing because you're doing it, right? So enroll me, get me engaged, tell me what the vision is. Also, vision's big. What do you want to create? If I know what you want to create or what you're doing, it's not a good thing. In my coaching calls with my clients, I'm always asking, like, hey, if I was to ask the person closest to you what your big dream is, what would they tell me? If you can't tell me what it is, it's a problem, right? Because at the end of the day, if you can't tell me, they can't tell me. So it's a big thing, is enrolling people in your crazy big vision. And if you tell your vision this person, they don't believe in you and your capability to do it, may not be the person in your corner you need, to be totally honest, which leads me to the third part. Get a group of people outside the individuals who are super close in like your dialed in area, and create a new gap of individuals who get a clear vision of what it is you want and support you. One of the most important things you can have is a base of human beings that support and cheer you on, not try to see you fail. And when this comes to the fruition of your dreams, it's going to happen because you have people in the background who support you. Like, at certain times, my wife is not my biggest supporter in certain areas, but I have people who cheer me on outside of that. There's other areas where she is the one that cheers me on and they don't. It's a back and forth thing. Find a community, a mastermind, a group of people who will support you outside of needing it to come from one specific person. When you can do that, you can find you have a lot more freedom, a lot more push when you need it. Because if you don't get in one area and you only have one area to get it, you don't have it. So find it. So that's the big keys. When you can do that, I promise you'll find that your dreams of being amazing and successful world you can actually enter into finally can become a reality.